The Millennium Archetype is a brand new archetype inspired by the final arc of the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series set in ancient Egypt. Its boss monster is a powerful new version of the great defender of Egypt, Exodia. So first we'll take a look at the deck profile and then I'll showcase some basic combos that it can do to show you what it's capable of. And now without any further ado, let's get started.
Alright, before we dive into the main deck, let's first go over some of the key cards to understand the game plan behind this new deck strategy. We'll start with the ultimate boss monster of the deck, the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Unlike the classic Exodia win condition, this monster fuses all the individual Exodia pieces together instead of gathering them in your hand. It comes packed with a lot of effects. You must pay 1000 life points during each of your standby phases. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. During battle, it gains attack points equal to your current life points. Once per turn, it can negate the activation of a spell or trap card. And in the end phase, it can set an Exod or Obliterate spell or trap directly from the deck. Overall, this is an impressive boss monster with powerful effects. Now how do we summon it? Well, we technically could fusion summon it, but there's a more straightforward method, by unlocking its seal with Millennium Ankh. This card lets you reveal all the 5 Exodia pieces from your hand, deck and face-up field. Then you can special summon the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate straight from your extra deck. Then you must shuffle every monster card you control back into the deck, except for Millennium monsters and Exodia monsters whose original level is 10 or higher. After that you cannot summon for the rest of the turn, and Millennium Ankh shuffles itself back to the deck instead of going to the graveyard. This card is a very clear reference to the anime, where Shimon, the ancient Egypt counterpart of Grandpa, uses the Millennium Key to seal Exodia into 5 stone tablets. Later he uses it again to unseal Exodia and battle Zork. This is mirrored in Exodia Incarnate's effects. It gains attack points equal to your life points, reflecting Exodia's power being tied to the summoner's life force. And just like in the show, maintaining your monster's presence comes at the cost of your own energy. In this case, paying 1000 life points each of your standby phases. Very cool. Alright, now that we've covered the game plan, let's dive into the main deck. We begin of course with the 5 pieces of Exodia which we need to summon our ultimate boss monster. Next, one of our main starters, Sengenjin wakes from a Millennium. This card cannot be destroyed by monster effects and can be placed from the hand in the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. While it's there, you can pay 2000 life points or reveal Millennium Ankh in your hand to special summon it. Then you can add another Millennium monster from your deck to your hand. This card's a retrain of the classic normal monster Sengenjin, which for a very long time only had one worldwide TCG print in 2008's Premium Pack 2. In 2024 it finally got a reprint in Terminal Revenge, right before the release of the new Millennium support. This version even got an errata, making it part of the archetype. And according to its card text, it's an unstoppable force that carries Millennium items. You can even see it carrying the original Millennium shield on its back in the new artwork. Very nice! And speaking of Millennium Shield, that card also received a retrain that Sengenjin can search, Shield of the Millennium Dynasty. This card cannot be destroyed by spell and trap cards, and can be placed in the spell and trap zone and summoned like Sengenjin. But instead of adding a monster, it searches for the Millennium Ankh. According to its original card text, the Millennium Shield was considered a Millennium item which could block any strong attack. This was also later changed with an errata, and is now described as a famous shield belonging to an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Next we have Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures. This card's a retrain of the classic Millennium Golem, a guardian of an ancient treasure grove for nearly 1000 years. It first appeared in 2005 Tournament Pack 7 and has never received another printing since. Its first effect explains its name. It protects your Millennium Ankh from being negated, which is really good since it's the most important card in the deck. It can also be placed in a spell and trap zone and special summon the same way as Sengenjin and Millennium Shield. But this card then searches for a Wedju Temple. This field spell lets you place a monster from your hand in a spell and trap zone, and then you can place any Millennium monster from your deck in the spell and trap zone. Additionally, if any of your face-up Millennium monsters are destroyed, you can place them in a spell and trap zone instead of sending them to the graveyard. This card is a nice reference to the anime, where monsters were sealed in stone tablets during ancient Egypt. These tablets were stored in tablet sanctuaries, which closely resemble the artwork of Wedju Temple. Next, we have Maiden of the Millennium Moon. This is an illusion monster and cannot be destroyed by battle or destroy other monsters by battle, much like other illusion monsters. It can also be placed in a spell and trap zone like Sengenjin and Millennium Shield. But instead of paying life points, you can summon it when your opponent activates a card or effect. Then, for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot target level 5 or higher illusion and spellcaster monsters you control with card effects, making your Exodia boss monster even harder to deal with. This card is a new version of Maiden of the Moonlight, a sorcerer blessed by lunar light with powers far beyond mortal comprehension. They share the exact same stats. Interestingly, Maiden of the Moonlight also only ever had one printing, dating back to 2002's Tournament Pack 2nd season. Another old card that received a modern Millennium retrain is Fiend Reflection number 1. This card was never released in the TCG, which was surprising to learn while researching for this video. Its retrain is called Fiend Reflection of the Millennium. You can even see a portion of the mirror it's holding in the original artwork. As an illusion monster, it follows the usual rule. Neither it nor its opponent can be destroyed by battle. Similar to Millennium Maiden, you can place it in the spell and trap zone and summon it when your opponent activates a card or effect. Upon summoning, you gain life points equal to half the attack of one monster on the field. This effect helps sustain your life points for Exodia's cost, while continuing to boost its attack points. These two Millennium monsters don't see much play in the most powerful builds of the Exodia deck. However, if you're playing casually with friends and want to fully experience the Archetype's theme, you could include these in your deck. And last but certainly not least, we have one of the deck's best cards, Heart of the Blue Eyes, which is always treated as a Millennium card. Control of this card cannot switch, and you can discard it to add a Millennium Ankh from your deck to your hand. It also has an awesome effect in the graveyard, which you can only activate once per duel and only if you successfully activated Millennium Ankh. If your opponent normal special summons a level 8 or higher monster, or a monster with 3000 or more attack, you can send that monster to the graveyard, then special summon this card. This card has so many cool Easter eggs, I absolutely love it. The control of this card cannot switch is a cool reference to the anime, where Grandpa literally said,
"The Blue Eyes White Dragon, so rare, so powerful, I never let it leave my hands."
Awesome! Doesn't look all that special to me.
Ah!
Its ability to search ties back to the Millennium Key, Grandpa's ancestor's Millennium item. Both the TCG and OCG versions of this card have the set number 4, representing it as the 4th Blue Eyes White Dragon. Finally, its graveyard effect pays homage to the manga duel where Kaiba actually used Grandpa's Blue Eyes in a duel against Yugi, but the dragon refused to obey him and sent itself to the graveyard. Yugi then brought it back with Monster Reborn to his side of the field. This card is absolutely awesome and a definite 3-off in the deck. It boosted consistency significantly, while also providing disruption during the opponent's turn. Going through the effects of these monsters highlights just how crucial access to the Millennium Ankh is. This card is the key to summoning your ultimate boss monster, Exodia. However, Exodia's power is tied directly to your life points, and most of your monsters require 2000 life point payment to summon, unless you reveal Millennium Ankh in your hand. This mechanic is a clear reference to how monsters were summoned in ancient Egypt. In the anime, a character's life energy was displayed on their Ankh, the ancient version of the dual disc. Summoning monsters depleted the user's energy. However, those who wielded Millennium items appeared to summon monsters without restrictions. When characters regained their Millennium items after losing them, their energy was instantly restored. These summoning effects pay homage to that idea. As long as you possess your Millennium item, in this case the Millennium Ankh, you're exempt from paying life points. Pretty cool, right? And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's interesting that Ankh nearly spells Ankh, just one letter short. Could it be a hidden connection or an Easter egg, or just an happy accident? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Now let's move on to the rest of the Exodia Millennium spells and traps. We're playing triple Millennium Ankh and 2 copies of Weju Temple, which I've already explained earlier in the video. Next we have 2 Exalt Fires of Rage and 1 Obliterate Blaze, both searchable during the end phase with Exodia's effects. Exalt Fires of Rage clears the field by destroying all cards the opponent controls when you control a level 10 or higher Exodia monster. You can also banish it from the graveyard the turn after it was sent there, to add a forbidden 1 monster from your deck or grave to your hand, or shuffle up to 5 Exodia pieces from the grave or banishment into the deck. A nice recursion option if one of your Exodia pieces ends up in the graveyard. Obliterate Blaze is a quick play spell that grants your level 10 Exodia monster 2 additional abilities. It can inflict piercing battle damage, and by paying half your life points you can destroy as many cards in the spell and trap zones as possible. Then equip all Exodia pieces from your hand or deck to Exodia as equipped spells. Each piece adds 2000 attack, giving Exodia a massive 10,000 attack boost if all pieces are equipped. Just keep in mind that you cannot activate any cards or effects for the rest of the turn. so keep that in mind before committing to this play. Overall, it's a cool card for securing an explosive game-ending attack. With that, we've covered all the Exodia cards in the deck. The remaining slots are for additional tech choices, tailored to the type of environment you're playing in. One powerful option is Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This field spell shuts down your opponent's spell cards as long as you control a spellcaster, such as Exodia. But if you do not have any spellcasters of your own, you cannot activate any spell cards. To search the field spells, we're running one terraforming and one set rotation, which lets you set 2 field spells with different names directly from your deck to both sides of the field. Next, for the hand traps, we've got 3-Dimension Shifter. This deck does not rely on the graveyard at all. Against some matchup, this card can practically win games on its own. 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Impermanence. For additional tech choices, Angel Statue Azarun is a monster trap that can send itself to the graveyard to negate the summon if your opponent would special summon a monster. This card is searchable with the card in our extra deck. There can be only one locks players into controlling only one monster of each type, which doesn't hurt this deck much but can cripple many opponents' strategies. Pot of Prosperity increases the deck consistency by helping you dig for key cards. And finally, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent, which provides versatile responses to your opponent's interactions. And that's it for the main deck. Now onto the extra deck. We of course have 3 copies of our ultimate boss monster, the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Next, a couple of utility Link 2s. Nightmare Phoenix can deal with problematic back row. Silhouette Rabbit searches for the Angel Statue trap card to negate a special summon. SP Little Knight is versatile for removing threats and interrupting plays during the opponent's turn. Nightmare Cerberus can destroy a special summon monster in the main monster zone. IP Masquerade to summon Nightmare Unicorn during your opponent's turn for more disruption. We're also playing Dark and Asa to steal either a Dark or Earth monster from the opponent's graveyard, making further link climbing easier. Celine can reborn a spellcaster from the graveyard, which helps us link climb into. Access Kotaku, which can help close out games with its high attack and board clearing effects. Finally, Underworld Goddess allows you to use one of your opponent's monsters as a link material to deal with problematic threats. And to make it even easier, we have Moon of the Closed Heaven to use another one of the opponent's monsters for a link summon. And that's it for the deck profile. Now onto the combos. Combo number 1 shows what you can do with just one Sengenjin. We start by placing it in a spell and trap zone in tablet form, then pay 2000 life points to special summon it. This lets us search for any Millennium monster. So we grab the Shield of the Millennium Dynasty and place it on the field in tablet form as well. Next we pay another 2000 life points to special summon it. This card searches for our Millennium Ankh. But before we activate it, we want to maximize the value from our monsters. So we link them away to summon Silhouette Rabbits. This monster lets us directly set the Angel Statue trap card from the deck to the field. Now we activate Millennium Ankh. We reveal all of the Exodia pieces, and then summon the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. Thanks to Millennium Ankh, all monsters except for Millennium monsters and level 10 or higher Exodia monsters return to the deck, and Millennium Ankh disappears back into the deck as well. Now we end our turn, and during the end phase, Exodia's effect lets us set an Exalt or Obliterate spell or trap directly from the deck. We get the Exalt Fires of Rage. And this is our end board. We have Exodia, which cannot be destroyed by card effects and can negate the activation of a spell or trap card once per turn. If your opponent would special summon a monster, Angel Statue can negate the summon. And with Fires of Rage you can board wipe your opponent's entire field. In this combo I'll show what an ideal turn 1 basically looks like. We need access to Blue Eyes, Sengenjin, and a way to get to our Secret Village field spell. We start by discarding our Blue Eyes to search for Millennium Ankh. Next, reveal Ankh to special summon Sengenjin without paying life points. This card searches for the Shield of the Millennium Dynasty. Reveal Millennium Ankh again to summon Shields, which adds another copy of Millennium Ankh to our hand. Now link these 2 monsters away into Silhouette Rabbit just like before, and use it to grab our Angel Statue trap card. Then it's time to activate Millennium Ankh, reveal all of the Exodia pieces, and summon the unstoppable Exodia Incarnate. As before, Silhouette Rabbit returns to the extra deck, and Millennium Ankh returns to the deck as well. Finally, we activate Secret Village and end our turn. And during the end phase, Exodia grabs of course the Fires of Rage trap card. Now we have the same end board as before, but in addition, we have the field spell which prevents our opponent from activating any spell cards, unless they control a spellcaster monster. Blue Eyes is in the graveyard, ready to send a level 8 or higher monster, or a monster of 3000 or more attack to the graveyard when it's summoned, and then it reborns itself. We're still at 8000 life points instead of 4000, and we still have a copy of Millennium Ankh in our hand for a follow-up. And if Exodia survives until the opponent's end phase, we can use its effect again to either set another Fires of Rage to board wipe the opponent during our turn, or grab Obliterate Blaze to boost our Exodia's attack points by 10,000. And that's it for the deck profile and combos. Let me know your thoughts about the Exodia deck and all of its Easter eggs in the comments. And consider subscribing if you don't want to miss out on more fun nostalgia-filled deck profiles. I see you later.